A narcissist is a puppet master, pulling strings of manipulation, deception, and provocation to feast on your emotions like a ravenous leech. Your anger, your guilt, your desperate craving for their approval, it's their lifeblood. Without it, they're hollow, powerless, nothing. But imagine their shock when they encounter someone unbreakable. Someone who doesn't flinch, doesn't grovel for validation, doesn't even blink at their mind games. What happens when they face a Stoic? They unravel. They seethe with hatred, because you embody their deepest terror. A narcissist can toy with a fragile mind, bending it to their will, but they're helpless against a soul unshaken by their chaos. They feed on your emotional eruptions, yet they collapse when met with relentless, ironclad calm. They spin webs of control through stories and lies, but they falter when you pierce their facade and refuse to dance to their tune. This is why Stoicism drives them mad. It's the cure to their venom. When you wield Stoicism, you rip away their dominance. Their guilt trips, fear tactics, and inflated egos bounce off you like arrows off steel. Their weapons turn to dust. You become invincible. Here's the raw truth. A narcissist withers in a world where you starve them of your reactions. So today, we dismantle them. We uncover exactly why narcissists tremble before Stoics and how you can wield this ancient wisdom to become untouchable. Drop I am untouchable in the comments if you're done being their pawn. Like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic, because real strength isn't in lashing out, but in standing unshaken. Let's dive in. Number 1. You don't react to their script, and it destroys them. A narcissist isn't inherently powerful. They're cunning playwrights, meticulously scripting dramas of manipulation, control, and emotional turmoil. They've mastered the art of pressing your buttons. A cutting insult to spark your fury, a guilt trip to chain you to compliance, a twist of reality to leave you doubting your own mind. Their entire game hinges on one thing: you playing along. They crave your defiance, your pleas, your justifications, your screams, your collapse. The instant you react, they've won, dragging you into their twisted theater where they reign supreme. But what happens when you refuse to take the bait? When their calculated provocations crash against a wall of silence, indifference, and a steady, unyielding gaze, they unravel. Panic sets in. They thrash harder, clawing for the emotional fuel they're starved of, because without your chaos, they start to fray at the edges. Picture Jake and Olivia. Jake's a classic narcissist, a maestro of control who spent years bending Olivia to his will, keeping her second-guessing, tiptoeing around his moods. His strength isn't physical. It's in knowing he can make her dance to his tune. One night, he strikes out of nowhere. "You never support me. You're so selfish. No wonder everyone sees it." He's ready for her to crumble, to argue, to beg for his forgiveness. But this time, Olivia doesn't bite. She doesn't shout or defend herself. She just looks at him, calm, detached, almost bored. Jake freezes, waiting for the explosion he's used to. "Did you not hear me?" he barks, his voice sharpening. "I heard you," she replies, cool as stone. Then nothing. Silence hangs heavy, and a flicker of unease crosses his face. He braced for battle. He got a void. And that void is his kryptonite. This is the raw, unshakable power of a Stoic mind. Narcissists despise the non-reactive because their dominance lives or dies by your response. They feed on your energy, your outrage, your tears, your desperation. Strip that away, and their grip dissolves. Marcus Aurelius nailed it. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. A Stoic doesn't sink to their level or flail in their trap. They simply opt out. To break free, anticipate their provocations. They'll dangle bait to reel you in, but it's just a tired script they're begging you to recite. Master the pause. Before you snap back, breathe and ask, will this give them power? If it will, stay silent. Offer them nothing. A blank stare, a flat reply, a refusal to be swept into their tempest. Then watch them implode. Without your fuel, they destabilize, crumbling under the weight of their own desperation. What a narcissist loathes most isn't your anger or your pain. They can wield those like weapons, but your indifference. It's their executioner. They don't dread losing you. They dread losing their hold over you. And when you step into Stoicism, they're forced to face the truth. They never had you to begin with. That's the ultimate triumph, leaving them powerless, not through confrontation, but through the quiet, devastating strength of an untouchable mind. Number 2. They can't make you feel guilty, and it infuriates them. Guilt is the narcissist's most insidious weapon. It's subtle, corrosive, and devastatingly effective against people with a conscience. They don't attack directly, they manipulate, twist reality, plant seeds of self-doubt. They craft stories where they are the victim and you are the ungrateful, selfish betrayer. Their entire strategy hinges on one thing: your willingness to accept responsibility for things that were never yours to carry. But when you embrace Stoicism, you take that weapon out of their hands. You understand one simple truth: guilt is only effective when you accept it. Meet Lucas and Emily. Emily had spent years walking on eggshells around Lucas. Every disagreement, every moment of independence, every instance where she put herself first was met with the same response: disappointment, sighs, the heavy silence of unspoken accusations. "I gave up everything for you," Lucas would say when she pushed back against his demands. "I've sacrificed so much, and this is how you treat me?" The first few times, Emily broke down, apologized, tried harder. It worked. Lucas got exactly what he wanted. He made her feel like she owed him something, that like her happiness was a debt she had to repay. And the more she gave, the more he took. But one day, something shifted. Lucas played his usual line: "I sacrificed everything for you." But instead of apologizing, Emily simply looked at him and said, "That was your choice." Silence. Lucas blinked as if she had spoken in a foreign language. He repeated himself, this time with more drama, more sadness, trying to drag her back into the cycle. But Emily remained calm, unmoved. "No one forced you to do anything," she added. "If you gave something up, it was because you wanted to, not because I asked." Lucas exploded. He called her cold, ungrateful, heartless. But for the first time, Emily didn't feel guilty. Because she saw the manipulation for what it was: a desperate attempt to keep her under control. Why narcissists hate when you refuse guilt? A narcissist needs you to feel guilty. Guilt keeps you compliant. It makes you explain yourself, defend yourself, make up for imaginary wrongs. But when you embrace Stoicism, you learn a key principle. You are only responsible for what you have actually done, not for how someone else chooses to interpret it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone accuses you falsely and you become upset, you have already lost." A Stoic doesn't waste energy defending themselves against false accusations. They let reality speak for itself. How to break the guilt cycle. 1. Recognize the manipulation. When they say, "I did everything for you," ask yourself, did I ask for this? Was it truly a sacrifice or just a way to control me? 2. Detach from the need to explain. A narcissist wants you to argue, to justify, to prove your worth. You don't owe them that. 3. Give them the truth, not an apology. When they guilt trip you, respond with calm clarity. "That was your decision, not my demand." 4. Watch them crumble. Without guilt, they have no hold on you. And when they realize they can't control you anymore, they panic. Because in the end, they never wanted love. They wanted control. And when you take that away, they have nothing. Number 3. You refuse their approval, and it shatters their mirage. A narcissist doesn't rule through brute strength. Their dominion is a cunning mind game, a psychological snare far more binding than chains. Their secret weapon? Your hunger for their approval. They spin a seductive illusion where their nod of validation becomes your holy grail. A prize you're convinced you can claim if you just push harder, bend further, prove your worth beyond doubt. But it's a rigged game. The moment you near the finish line, they yank it away, leaving you perpetually scrambling. One misstep from rejection, one blemish from scorn, forever chasing a phantom nod that never lands. They thrive on your endless pursuit, your need to be seen, your desperation to be enough. Then one day, you quit the race. A Stoic doesn't grovel for scraps of praise or wait to be anointed worthy. A Stoic doesn't surrender their self-worth to a fickle gatekeeper, pleading for permission to feel whole. They stand firm, declaring, "My value isn't yours to judge." And that's the dagger that guts the narcissist's world. When you embrace this truth, their carefully built empire of control collapses into dust. Take James and Clara. James was a virtuoso of this cruel dance, dangling approval just out of Clara's reach. One day, he'd shower her with adoration. The next, he'd freeze her out. She'd be flawless in one breath, a letdown in the next. Clara bought into it, exhausting herself to win his fleeting favor, agonizing over his silences, decoding his moods, chasing the validation he'd trained her to see as the measure of her existence. Until something snapped. One evening, James played his tired card, aloof, subtly accusing, primed for her to grovel. But Clara didn't bite. She didn't probe, didn't fix, didn't chase. She let it slide past her like a breeze, untouched. James unraveled, his composure cracking as he faced the one thing he couldn't withstand, her indifference. Narcissists don't draw power from their words alone. It's your faith in those words that fuels them. If you buy into the lie that their approval crowns your worth, they own you. You'll twist yourself into knots to keep it. But when you stop caring, when you know deep in your bones that you're enough without their blessing, they're stripped bare. Marcus Aurelius cut to the core. What others think isn't yours to command. Your integrity is all that counts. A narcissist banks on you, believing your value is their gift to bestow. A Stoic knows it's an untouchable flame no one can snuff out. To break their hold, see the trick for what it is. Their approval isn't a treasure, it's a leash. They don't cherish you, they relish your craving for their affection. Quit explaining yourself. Every defense you offer is a thread they pull to keep you tethered. Unhook entirely, they expect you to claw for their favor, and your refusal sends them reeling. Then walk away, eyes forward, unshaken. The killing blow? Showing them their validation is weightless to you. They don't just lose control, they lose their purpose. Because the truth is you never needed them. They needed you to need them. And when that need vanishes, so do they. Number 4, you don't fall for their empty promises, and it shatters their illusion. A narcissist's words are a beautifully wrapped box filled with nothing. They whisper, "I've changed. I see my mistakes. I'll be better this time." But the truth? They have no intention of changing. They just need to reset the game. Pull you back in, make you lower your defenses, make you believe that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. But a Stoic does not live in the world of maybe. A Stoic does not chase illusions, does not buy into fantasies, does not mistake words for reality. A Stoic knows words mean nothing without action. A narcissist can paint the sky with poetry, promise the stars, swear they are reborn, but their actions remain the same, because they do not seek redemption, only control. They do not regret their past behavior, they regret losing their hold over you. Imagine a gambler who has lost everything at the table, not because of bad luck, but because he played recklessly, arrogantly, believing he would always win. Now he stands before the dealer, swearing that if given one more chance, he will play differently. But you have seen this game before. You have watched him make the same bets, lose the same way, repeat the same cycle. And so, when he looks at you expecting another chance, you simply say, "No more." That's what a Stoic does. They observe, not listen. They watch patterns, not words. They do not hand out second chances based on sentimentality. They let reality decide. And when reality shows the same behavior, the same lies, the same manipulations, they walk away without hesitation, without explanation, without regret. A narcissist cannot comprehend this. They are used to people believing them, giving in, hoping against all logic that this time is different. But when you refuse to play the fool, when you meet their grand declarations with nothing but silence, when you watch them, unblinking, as their carefully crafted words crumble under the weight of their unchanged actions, that is when they know they have lost you forever. Number 6. You fearlessly let them go, and it obliterates their mirage. A narcissist feeds on your dread, not of their wrath, but of their absence. Their empire rests on a single insidious lie. You need them more than they need you. They convince you that losing them means losing yourself, leaving you adrift, shattered, half a person. Their cage isn't forged from steel, but from venomous whispers. "You'll never find another like me. You'll rue the day I walk away. No one else could love you as I do." At first, those words burrow deep, gnawing at your insecurities, preying on your longing for belonging, amplifying your terror of what lies beyond. But a Stoic doesn't cower before loss. A Stoic grasps a liberating truth. Nothing lasts forever, and no bond, no soul, no tie justifies trading your peace or dignity. So when the narcissist looms, anticipating your pleas, your wavering, your desperate cling, and you instead lock eyes with tranquil resolve, they taste a rare, bitter sting. Powerlessness. Consider Sophie and Daniel. Daniel wielded uncertainty like a blade, keeping Sophie tethered to his whims. Her world soared with his warmth and crashed with his frost. She'd scour her every word, her every move, frantic to reclaim his affection, convinced he was the trophy she had to win. One night, after another bout of icy silence laced with cutting jabs, he tossed out his trump card. "You'll never find someone who gets you like I do." Once, Sophie would have buckled, spending sleepless hours groveling, proving her value, begging him to stay. But this time, a switch flipped. She studied him, truly saw him, and the veil lifted. Every argument, every doubt he sowed, every belittling sneer was just another shackle to keep her small. She smiled, not with fury or malice, but with the sweet release of clarity. "That's exactly why I'm done," she said. Daniel's mask slipped. The swagger, the arrogance, the smug certainty she'd never leave. It all evaporated. "Wait, what?" he sputtered, a hollow laugh masking his shock. "You're overreacting. You can't seriously think you'll find better." Sophie slung her bag over her shoulder. "I don't need better. I need freedom." And she walked out, leaving him grasping at air. For once, Daniel wasn't the puppeteer. Narcissists don't dread your departure. They dread losing their grip. They're not scared of solitude. They're petrified. You'll realize you've always been whole without them. They tremble at the moment you wake to the truth. You never relied on them. They relied on your neediness. Their approval was never your worth's yardstick. Love doesn't thrive on domination, and true connection doesn't demand fear. Marcus Aurelius put it starkly: don't fear death, fear never truly living. Their ultimate horror? You breaking free to live unbound. To shatter their illusions, see through the ruse. You were never the clingy one. They craved your attention, your reactions, your lifeblood. Shed the dread of what's next. People linger in toxic traps, not for love, but for fear of the void. Stoicism flips that script. Uncertainty isn't a threat, it's a thrill. Twist their taunts into liberation. When they sneer, "You'll never find another like me," don't mourn, rejoice. Who'd want a repeat of that? Move decisively. Narcissists bank on your dithering, your turmoil, your second-guessing. Stride away with unshakable purpose, and their final tether snaps. They brace for your rage, your sobs, your scrabble to hold on. But when you depart with serenity in your chest, lucidity in your gaze, and no shadow of doubt in your bones, you don't just wound them, you erase them. Because the power was never theirs to wield. It was yours, and you've just reclaimed it. Number 7. Their insults no longer wound you, and it drives them insane. A narcissist's greatest trick is making you believe that their words define you. They spend months, years crafting the perfect weaponized insults, tailored specifically to your insecurities. They plant doubts like seeds, watering them with backhanded compliments, sarcastic remarks, and subtle put-downs. At first, you react, defending yourself, explaining, proving, even questioning whether they might be right. And that's when they know they have you. Because as long as their words trigger an emotional response, they own you. But a Stoic does not give their enemy that satisfaction. A Stoic understands that words only have power if you let them. When a narcissist realizes that their insults no longer pierce your armor, they panic. Because without your pain, without your reactions, without your desperate need to prove them wrong, they are powerless. Take Ethan and Claire. For years, Claire knew exactly how to get under Ethan's skin. If she sensed him growing distant, she'd say, "No wonder your last girlfriend left you." If he accomplished something, she'd downplay it with, "Oh, finally, you're doing something useful." And if he ever challenged her, she'd go for the kill. See? This is why no one takes you seriously. Every insult was designed to make him doubt himself, to force him into proving his worth, to keep him playing the game. But one day, Ethan decided to stop playing. When Claire tossed out her usual remarks, expecting him to bite, he simply shrugged and said, "Okay." When she tried to provoke him with a passive-aggressive jab, he nodded and went back to his book. She escalated, digging deeper, waiting for a reaction, but it never came. Claire wasn't arguing with Ethan anymore. She was arguing with her own echo. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be." A narcissist's words are designed to inflict damage, but damage only happens if you let the blade sink in. When you refuse to react, when you treat their words as background noise, you strip them of their ability to hurt you. They can insult you, degrade you, mock you. But what happens when you simply don't care? What happens when their most carefully crafted insult is met with complete indifference? They unravel. They lash out harder, desperate for a response. But a Stoic remains unshaken. A Stoic knows that true power lies in mastering one's own emotions, not in trying to control the words of others. Here's how you win. First, recognize their insults for what they are, a desperate attempt to control your emotions. Second, ask yourself, if a stranger said this to me, would I even care? If the answer is no, why let someone undeserving have that power? Third, practice the art of non-reaction. Silence is more powerful than any rebuttal. A simple "if that's what you think" is all it takes to make them feel utterly powerless. A narcissist needs your reaction like a fire needs oxygen. The moment you stop feeding it, it suffocates. Because in the end, their words never had power. You just thought they did. And when you stop believing their lies, they cease to exist. Number 8. You are untouchable. You don't seek emotional revenge, and it kills them. A narcissist doesn't just want you to be hurt, they want you to prove that you are hurt. They want you to lash out, to scream, to plot revenge, to show them that they still occupy space in your mind. Because as long as you are reacting, they are still in control. The worst thing you can do to them is not hate them, not fight them, not even expose them, but to treat them as insignificant. They thrive on chaos. They push, they provoke, they humiliate, all to get a response. If they can make you angry, they win. If they can make you break your composure, they win. If they can make you plot revenge, they win. Because in that moment, you are still playing their game. But a Stoic? A Stoic walks away without a word, without a second thought, without an ounce of regret. A Stoic does not waste energy on meaningless battles. A Stoic does not prove their strength through reaction, but through detachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." A narcissist wants you to stoop to their level, to attack, to become consumed with resentment, to lose yourself in the war they created. But when you remain unshaken, when you refuse to become like them, you take away their only weapon. Take Daniel and Sophie. Daniel was the master of mind games. When Sophie left him, he did everything to provoke her, spread rumors, flaunted a new relationship, sent cryptic messages meant to make her jealous. He expected anger, confrontation, desperate explanations. But Sophie gave him nothing. She did not retaliate, she did not defend herself. She simply moved on. And that was what destroyed him. Because nothing terrifies a narcissist more than being irrelevant. When you show them that their existence no longer matters to you, they crumble. Here's how you make yourself untouchable. First, recognize that revenge is just another form of emotional attachment. If you are seeking to hurt them, they still have power over you. Second, understand that silence is the ultimate power move. No response is louder than any insult you could ever throw back. Third, live well. Nothing enrages a narcissist more than seeing you thrive without them. A narcissist wants you to burn in the fire they created, but a Stoic walks through it and comes out untouched. Number 9. You see them for what they truly are, a fragile shell clinging to tricks. A narcissist struts through life cloaked in bravado, projecting an aura of dominance that demands awe. They weave a tapestry of grandiosity, expecting you to bow before their supposed might. But a Stoic pierces that veneer with unflinching clarity. Where others see a towering figure, a Stoic sees the trembling truth, a fragile soul, terrified of fading into irrelevance. To the untrained eye, the narcissist is a force, commanding, unyielding, a master of manipulation who bends wills with ease. They thrive on the illusion that their words carry weight, their presence inspires fear, their games hold you captive. Yet strip away the theatrics, and what remains? Not strength, not power, but a hollow core propped up by desperate ploys. A Stoic doesn't flinch or fawn. They gaze past the mask and spot the cowardice beneath, a puppet pulling strings to hide their own dread of being forgotten. This revelation is their undoing. The narcissist banks on your reverence, your fear, your belief in their supremacy. They need you to see them as larger than life, a deity whose approval you must chase. But when you refuse to play along, when you meet their bluster with a steady, knowing look, they falter. You don't see a titan, you see a child scrambling for attention, a weakling who collapses without an audience. And that truth, once laid bare, dismantles their entire charade. Imagine Elena and Mark. Mark had long cast himself as the sun in Elena's orbit. His moods dictated her days, his critiques shaped her worth. He'd sneer, "You're lucky I even bother with you," and she'd once shrunk under the weight of his disdain. buying into the myth of his grandeur. But over time, Elena's stoic lens sharpened. One day, as he launched into another tirade, "No one else would put up with you," she didn't shrink or snap. She studied him, calm and piercing, and saw it. The flicker of panic behind his eyes, the brittle edge to his voice. He wasn't a king wielding power. He was a beggar clutching at relevance. "I don't need your pity," she said evenly, turning away. Mark's facade cracked. His shouts grew frantic, but they echoed off her indifference. For the first time, he wasn't the ruler of her world. He was just noise fading into silence. Narcissists dread this unmasking because their survival hinges on your delusion. They're not formidable, they're fragile, propped up by your reactions, your deference, your willingness to see them as more than they are. A Stoic denies them that lifeline. You don't cower before their tantrums or marvel at their schemes. You see the fear driving every move, the terror of being exposed as ordinary, insignificant, powerless without your gaze. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Do not allow the impressions of others to cloud your judgment." A Stoic does just that, cutting through the narcissist's smoke and mirrors to reveal the pitiful core, a frightened shadow masquerading as a giant. To wield this against them, hone your sight. Don't flinch at their roars. Watch for the tremble in their hands. Don't rise to their bait. Note the desperation in their taunts. Let them rant, posture, and scheme, but hold fast to the truth. Their power is borrowed, not owned. When they hurl threats, "You'll be nothing without me," don't argue. Let your calm silence answer. They expect you to prop up their illusion, to feed their ego with your fear or fury. Deny them that, and they shrink before your eyes. The moment you see them as they are, weak, scrambling, dependent on your validation, they lose their hold. You don't need to fight or flee. You simply stop believing the lie. And in that quiet, unshakable clarity, their reign ends, not with a clash, but with a whisper of irrelevance. Number 10, you are untouchable. You don't seek emotional revenge, and it kills them. A narcissist doesn't merely aim to wound you. They hunger for the evidence of your pain, the tangible proof that their barbs have struck home. They crave the sight of your anguish, the confirmation that their betrayal has fractured your spirit, the assurance that they still hold enough sway to wrench some flicker of feeling from your core. That's why they don't slink away after igniting the chaos. They hover, circling like vultures, probing for the outburst they're certain will come. They relish the moment you snap, when you hurl accusations or scramble to unmask their deceit, because every flare of your fury, every stab at vengeance, hands them the victory. In that instant, they still reign over you, pulling your strings even as you rage against them. But what happens when you refuse to rise to the bait? When their carefully laid traps meet only stillness? When their taunts dissolve into the air? When they realize you've shed the weight of caring altogether? That's when the cracks in their armor begin to show. When the panic seeps in, when they grasp that they've lost the one thing they can't endure losing: your attention. A narcissist doesn't tremble at your wrath. They wield it like a tool, twisting it to tighten their grip. What truly unnerves them is the cold, unyielding wall of your indifference. They're architects of disorder, thriving in the storms they stir, pushing, goading, mocking until you break. If they can spark your anger, they've won a round. If they can unravel your composure, they've claimed a prize. If they can lure you into defending yourself or striking back, they've secured their throne, because every reaction proves they still linger in your thoughts, a ghost you can't exorcise. But a Stoic doesn't play that game. A Stoic doesn't stoop to skirmishes that yield no meaning, doesn't squander strength on petty reprisals. Their power isn't in the loud clash of retribution, but in the quiet, unshakable grace of detachment, a refusal to let the narcissist's chaos dictate their peace. Picture Daniel and Sophie. Daniel was a puppeteer of emotions, a maestro at keeping Sophie dangling on the edge of doubt, forever questioning her worth, forever chasing the scraps of his approval, forever teetering on the brink of losing his favor. When she finally severed the cord and walked away, he couldn't let it stand. He didn't just retreat into the shadows. He escalated, sowing rumors like wildfire, parading a new fling to stoke her envy, firing off veiled messages meant to pierce her resolve. This was his playbook, honed through countless conquests. Inflict the hurt, then watch them writhe, clawing to reclaim him. proving his dominance with every tear they shed. He'd seen it work 1,000 times. The more he twisted the knife, the more they'd scramble to fight or beg. But Sophie defied the script. She didn't bite at his bait, didn't fire back at his jabs, didn't even dignify his existence with a glance. His texts went unanswered, his provocations unmet, his shadow cast no ripple in her world. At first he smirked, convinced it was a bluff. She'd buckle soon, she always had, they all did. Weeks bled into months, and still she stood apart, untouched. That's when the truth sank in. He hadn't just lost the battle, he'd lost her entirely. Not to a war of words, but to the devastating void of her disinterest. Marcus Aurelius carved it into wisdom. The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. A narcissist yearns to drag you down to their level, to see you mirror their spite, their turbulence, their obsession with winning at any cost. They hunger for you to chase them through the muck, to waste your breath proving you're above them, to let resentment fester until it consumes you. But real triumph lies elsewhere. Not in the clamor of getting even, but in the serene act of letting go, of turning your back and never once glancing over your shoulder. A narcissist can weather your hatred. It's fuel they can stoke, but they wither under the weight of being forgotten. Hate keeps them relevant, indifference renders them obsolete. They dream of haunting your nights, of nesting in your mind even as a specter of rage. Strip them of that foothold, erase them as though they never crossed your path, and they're left grasping at nothingness, a king deposed by your refusal to kneel. To become untouchable, see revenge for the trap it is, a tether masquerading as justice. If you still ache to wound them, they still hold a piece of you. The true victory is reaching a place where their actions don't ripple your calm. Wield silence like a blade sharper than any retort. Let them howl into the abyss while you stride onward, unbothered. And then, flourish. Nothing terrifies a narcissist more than watching you rise, radiant, whole, unshackled, while they brace for your collapse. They lit the pyre expecting you to burn. A Stoic strides through the flames and emerges unscathed, leaving them to choke on the ashes of their own irrelevance. When the dust settles, they stand alone, diminished not by your hands, but by the simple, searing truth that you no longer need to care. And that to them is a defeat they can't outrun. Number 11. They will try to come back, but you no longer care. A narcissist is never truly gone. They don't walk away and leave you in peace. They linger, circling back like a vulture, waiting for a moment of weakness, waiting for a crack in your armor, waiting for the day when nostalgia or loneliness or doubt will make you lower your guard. They don't miss you. They miss controlling you. They don't regret losing you. They regret losing their ability to manipulate you. And so they return, not because they've changed, not because they finally understand your worth, but because they refuse to accept that you could be happy without them. They test the waters, sending a message out of nowhere, something vague, something harmless, something designed to make you think. Maybe they do care. They lay the bait, a memory, a song, a half-hearted apology, a casual apology. How have you been? They pretend that the past never happened, that they never tore you apart, that the chaos was just a misunderstanding, a bad phase, a mistake. And they hope desperately that you will take the bait, that you will crack open the door just enough for them to slip back in. They expect you to still care, to still hold on to the fantasy, to still entertain the thought that maybe, just maybe, they are capable of being different this time. But a Stoic? A Stoic never looks back. A Stoic does not entertain illusions, does not hold on to false hope, does not allow a manipulator back into their space once they have been removed. A Stoic sees reality for what it is. The past is gone, and what's broken remains broken. A Stoic understands that when someone has shown you who they truly are, you believe them. A narcissist is not interested in fixing the damage they caused. They are interested in resetting the game, regaining access, ensuring that you remain within their reach. They will come with words dipped in honey, with confessions of regret, with promises that they have changed. They will tell you everything you ever wanted to hear, because this time, they need you to believe them. But a Stoic does not fall for empty words. A Stoic looks at actions, at patterns, at history, and history has already written its lesson. They do not change. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculation about others, when it is in your power to direct yourself." A A Stoic does not wonder, what if? A Stoic does not reopen closed doors. A Stoic does not entertain ghosts from the past. A Stoic moves forward with certainty, without hesitation, without regret. And this is what terrifies the narcissist. Not your anger, not your silence, not even your happiness. What terrifies them is your indifference. The realization that they no longer have any effect on you. The moment they see that their words do not stir emotions, that their presence does not disrupt your peace, that their attempts to pull you back are met with absolute, unwavering disinterest, that is when they truly understand that they have lost. Because in the end, a narcissist does not fear losing you. They fear losing control over you. They fear becoming irrelevant, forgotten, discarded, in the same way they discarded you when it suited them. So they will try. They will reach out. They will test the waters. They will throw out lines, hoping that something will hook you again. But the moment you choose to walk away for good, the moment you refuse to even acknowledge their existence, the moment you truly no longer care, that is the moment they become powerless. A Stoic never looks back, because what lies behind is no longer their concern. They do not return to things that drain them. They do not seek closure, because they do not need it. The only thing a Stoic is interested in is what lies ahead. A narcissist thrives on reaction. They push, they provoke, they manipulate, all to see if they can still influence you. But when you do not react, when you do not even acknowledge their presence, they break. Because in that moment, they see what they feared most. They are nothing to you, and nothing is the one thing they cannot handle. Final conclusion. Master yourself, destroy their power. A narcissist cannot manipulate a Stoic. They want you afraid, dependent, and emotionally unstable. They want your reactions, your self-doubt, your constant need for their approval. But when you embrace Stoicism, you become something they cannot control. You stop feeding them your pain. You stop giving them your energy. You stop allowing them to define your worth. They hate you because they can no longer touch you. A Stoic is indifferent to flattery and immune to insults. A Stoic does not beg, does not chase, does not seek validation from those who thrive on deception. A Stoic understands the ultimate truth. Nothing has power over you unless you allow it. And when a narcissist realizes they have lost that power, they cease to exist in your world. This is the difference between a person who is controlled and a person who is free. You can continue being a pawn in their game, trapped in the cycle of manipulation, heartbreak, regret, and false hope. Or you can rise, take back your power, and walk away like a ruler who never looks back. Because true power does not come from controlling others, it comes from mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, the narcissist has no weapons left to use against you. If you are done being controlled, if you are ready to reclaim your strength, type "I am untouchable" in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic to keep sharpening your mind and building an unshakable life. Thank you for watching, and remember, they only win if you let them. Stay strong, stay untouchable.